On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside episode 402 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains. Got to let you know today's episode brought to you by Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. Well, it was a costly 3-1 defeat last night to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Ottawa Senators forward Colin White left the game and did not return. DJ Smith saying afterwards, it looks like it will be a long-term injury. I'll get Pilsy's take on the injury and who could replace Colin White down the middle, because Shane Pinto ain't there. He's up on the second line, and he looked great. We'll get into our Sen Central standouts as well. Plus, everybody's favorite segment, Where in the World is Brady Tkachuk? The Cam and Strick podcast, St. Louis-based, very well connected there. They have some news. We'll share that with you. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today is Tuesday, October 5th, and Pilsy, I don't care if it's preseason or postseason, losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs is never acceptable.
Yeah, that was a tough game to watch. I mean, we'll go through the game fully, but we can start with that first period. Like, anytime it takes you 12 minutes to get one shot on goal in a game, and it's especially tough knowing that, this is essentially Ottawa's NHL-ready roster, pretty much, right? A couple omissions, and that was not the Leafs NHL roster. I mean, that was barely even their AHL roster, and for them not to be able to muster up a shot in 12 minutes, and then I think their first even-strength shot wasn't until 15 minutes in, so that's a tough game to watch for sure, and like you said, it's never easy to watch the Leafs beat the Sens, and we talked about it, Ross. They had to shut down Michael Bunting. They did that only to let Pierre Engvall get 2 goals here. Unbelievable.
Well, what's worse, that or the Michael Amadio revenge game? Former Senator getting the game winner.
Yeah, I mean, let's keep the chronological order. We won't get to that so quickly, but that first period was just absolutely garbage for your Ottawa Senators.
Well, except for in the crease, Matt Murray looked good, making all 11 saves, and that was an important storyline going into last night's game. But Pilsy, stop me if you've heard this before this preseason. The Leafs opened the scoring on the power play. This Sens PK needs some work.
Yeah, and the surprising thing is their PK is fully intact, right? There's no one missing here. I mean, I guess you could say Chris Tierney, but he was only sort of part of that PK. Connor Brown's there, Nick Paul's there, Formanton's there, Shane Pinto's there. You got all your defensemen back there. So there's really no excuse for that to happen. I mean, it was a great shot by Pierre Engvall, so you got to give it to him there. But tough way to start the game when that's happening.
Yeah, no question. Although the 2 PK legends on the Sens did get on the score sheet at even strength. We'll get into our Sens Central standouts in a little bit, but the big news coming out of last night's game has to be Colin White, right? This guy went down awkwardly right along the boards in front of the bench, and he was holding his shoulder like it wasn't very connected. It sounds like at least it's going to be week to week.
Yeah, I don't see this being a short-term injury. Hopefully it's not a shoulder injury. Has Whitey struggled with the shoulder before? I can't keep track of all the different injuries he's had, to be honest. It seems like he's been banged up ever since after his rookie season, right? So hopefully it's not a reoccurring injury, because that could be really tough. But like you said, this is the story of the game. This was supposed to be a bounce-back year for Colin White. They went and acquired a guy in Zach Sanford, who they hope he would have chemistry with to try to give him a boost here. And then only, 2.5 minutes in, this happens to him. And it wasn't really anyone's fault either, right? It's just one of those plays where you're bumping and you're rolling along with the guy and you end up falling awkwardly. And that's what happened with Whitey there. And we've been talking about who's going to be the second line center. Well, I think now that's pretty much set in stone. It was Shane Pinto. And now the question is, who's going to be the third line center?
Yeah, you fill one and the next one opens
Yeah.
up. By the way, just scrolling through injury history, there's a couple upper body injuries
Okay.
over the last year and a half, and then he missed a bunch of time right after signing the deal with a hip flexor injury. He missed 3 to 5 weeks, but if you go all the way back to February of 2019, he did miss 5 games with a shoulder injury. However, you're looking at 2.5 years ago, so hopefully that doesn't impact the severity of what it's at now. But so unfortunate, because I'm not going to say he was getting going and he was looking like a best shape of your life and all that in preseason, but this is an important year for him, right? Because after this upcoming season, the Sens could buy out his contract at 1/3 of the total amount. It sucks to say that a first round pick who had so much promise at both ends of the ice, was a stud at the World Juniors, got fans excited from those performances and at Boston College. And then they go out and get his old college line mate to try to get him going at the NHL level. And now he's already out before the puck drops on opening night. So who would your first guy be to step in and play in that third line role?
Well, it's going to be interesting here. And another thing, too, is the Senators have had a rough time with these preseason games. Like, pretty much the whole point of these preseason games is to try out some new lines, build some chemistry, get the legs moving, all that kind of stuff. This is the third game now where they've lost a centerman real quick, right? Like Ridley Gregg, when we were there, Ross was gone fairly quickly, so you had to play the rest of the game without that centerman. Then Clark Bishop got injured. I forget which game that was. And then you have Colin White going down here. So they haven't had a chance to get consistent here. If I'm looking at, like, if we're rejigging the lines here, so obviously you keep that top line. I love Formy just lighting it up on that top line. Formanton, Norris, Batherson. That's a great line. Then you got Stützle, Pinto, Brown. And then I think maybe you start looking at a Sanford, Paul, Ennis line. And then on the bottom, who we got left here? Maybe Agazino in the center, Austin Watson on the right side. Then who do you get on the left side? Parker Kelly?
Yeah, I like Parker Kelly there. You could also, if you wanted to, slide Logan Shaw over, but that doesn't really excite me much.
No, I mean, get Parker Kelly there.
There's not too many guys left in camp, but yeah, no, I like Parker Kelly over there. Hey, Andrew Agazino actually looked pretty decent. I'm not going to be surprised if he's in the opening night lineup. And hey, this is a guy who's grinded it out. Like, he's played, I'm going to say, up to 8 years in the AHL.
Yeah, he's in Mendes' article today. He was saying he's a 30-year-old veteran with 46 NHL games under his belt. So, like, it's been a grind for him. And I think he really looks good. Like, he kind of he's right in that mix of your Clark Bishops, I don't want to say it, Michael Amadios, your Andrew Agazinos, right? Like, they're kind of a similar player. So he definitely fits a fourth line role. I thought he had a couple nice shots too. Like, he came down the wing and got a real surprising shot on Campbell that almost kind of handcuffed him, made him move the shoulders up a little and almost got through there. So Andrew Agazino has looked good. And that's a guy that you got to give the Sens credit. They're doing a much better job of finding those AHL, NHL fringe guys and stacking up Belleville for opportunities like this where injuries happen and they need a replacement. So Agazino's a perfect example of that, and I hope he sticks around here.
Oh, I wish they could do the same with their pro scouting on the back end. We tweeted out at Sens Central the list of NHL defensemen, and it was quickly pointed out to me they acquired Brandstrom, who had 0 NHL games when they got him. So I don't know why people are getting on my case about that. However, the list is not good. Like, how many guys did they hit on it? But those same people were like, oh, Zub was a rookie. Yeah, the guy played 270 games.
And he's got an Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, we'll draw the line. If you have an Olympic gold medal, it counts for an NHL games. But the list does not look great. The two latest additions to it are Michael Del Zotto and Nick Holden. One I like, one I didn't like through this preseason. And I guess I'll let you guess.
Which one's which? Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, Del Zotto, I mean, that cross-checking penalty, say what you want about the crackdown, but it was just so unnecessary. Ottawa was about to win a puck battle in the corner, and next thing you know, he just comes out of nowhere and flattens the guy from behind. Like, that's a penalty in the 90s. Maybe not, but that was a penalty.
You can abuse a guy in the 90s.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, man. Like, you got to use your smarts out there. That's why you're brought in to be a veteran presence, not a guy who's just going to go out there and cause problems.
Yeah, and the thing, Michael Del Zotto too, I didn't really like this game from him. In the first period when the Sens were struggling to get a shot, I forget who passed the puck over to him, but he had so much goddamn ice to play with, and he wound up for a slap shot. It must have been a good 3-second windup, which saying it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about it, 1, 2, 3, that's way too much time to just be winding up with your slap shot.
Yeah.
And then he lets it rip and it hits Connor Brown right in the crest, right in the chest. Like, you can't be doing that. They have no shots. Just get that shot off quicker. There's traffic in front. Get a nice low wrist shot, a snapshot, a low-powered slap shot. Like, you don't need to be winding up for 3 seconds there. So that I was a little bit frustrated to see.
How about Nick Holden, though? And by the way, I just pulled up, if you're watching on YouTube, the NHL defenseman acquired by Pierre Dorion since 2016.
Yeah, so let's go through the hits here.
Sorry, so no disrespect first and foremost to Kevin Jyrki-Jokipaka. Who didn't make my list as an NHL defenseman. But hey, what do you think the hits are? I'll list them off. You tell me where the hits are. Johnny Oduya.
Nope.
Dylan DeMello.
Yep.
Ron Hainsey.
Nope.
Mike Riley.
Yep.
You can say yes to Mike Riley, but they traded him for a fifth and they got a third back. So sure, they hit on that.
I would say that was a hit, though. When he was here, he was successful.
Fair. You got Josh Brown scratching the surface.
Wait, what about Zaitsev?
Sure, right. Zaitsev.
I don't know. I would say Zaitsev's a hit. Like, sure, the contract is too much, but he's a guy they need right now. Like, without him, there's an even bigger hole in the lineup. So I'll give Zaitsev a hit.
Fair, and it's definitely a step up from Cody Ceci.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Josh Brown.
Nah.
Braden Coburn.
Ugh.
Eric Branson. Victor Mete.
Yeah, that's a hit.
Okay, I'd say jury's still out.
It didn't cost them anything to acquire him, right?
True. Yeah. Artem Zub.
Hit. Zub Nation.
And then the two that we just said, Del Zotto and Holden. I'd say jury's still out on them. Although Holden, not only did he get
nice assist.
Not only did he get a nice assist last night, but his gap control's awesome defensively. He uses his stick. I was hard on him before I saw him play with Ottawa. I said he was kind of like this year's Braden Coburn. I think he's got a little game left. Like, to me, he's ahead of Del Zotto on my depth chart.
So far, yeah. Also, you have to consider he's been put in a lesser role, so less, tough assignments and less ice time to screw up. But yeah, if we're talking,
he played 15 seconds more than Del Zotto last night, and
really?
Del Zotto had 4.5 minutes on the power play, and Holden had 3.5 shorthanded.
Yeah. So. Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. Definitely out of the two of them last night, I liked Holden's game more. I'll give you that.
Yeah. What about Shabbat? Like -2, that backdoor play on Amadio stick was a little rough.
Dude, hot seat us putting Shabbat as the number one player when he's in our organizational value rankings. That was a crap game by Shabbat. I mean, usually we're the positive people on this show, but I got nothing good to say about that Shabbat game. Like, that, I guess we can get to it. We'll talk about the other goals, but since we're talking about Shabbat, we got to get to that Michael Amadio goal. Like, that is some of the worst lackadaisical defensive coverage I've seen in my life. Like, I watched that replay 4 or 5 times, trying to come up with an excuse or trying to find a positive for Thomas Shabbat here. Like, oh, he was the only man back. Oh, like, it was a tough 2-on-1. None of that is true. Yes, he was the only man back, but he didn't. I hate when defensemen do this as a goalie. When it's a 2-on-1 and you don't cover the shot and you don't cover the pass, you just stand there in the middle. That is the dumbest thing ever. Either fully take the shot and let the goalie kind of work and cheat his way for the pass just in case, or fully take the pass, which is what you should do. Trust your goalie. Matt Murray's been good all night. He's been stopping those wing shots, no rebounds. He looks sharp. He's confident. Trust Matt Murray there. And just be on Michael Amadio like a bug on rice or something, just stick right to him. And he didn't even try a lift stick, and he knows Amadio's right there. He does a shoulder check. He sees Michael Amadio's right there. He doesn't try to tie him up. He doesn't try to play the body. He just lets that pass go through, and then after is just looking like dazed, whoa, what happened there? How did that guy get there? What? I think even Michael Amadio was surprised. He's like, I'm going up against Shabbat here at a 2-on-1, and
with a minute and a half left in the game,
a tie game, yeah. And he's just letting me tap this one in. Like, his goal reaction was almost like, can you guys believe this?
Yeah.
Oh, the only thing I was so upset, man.
The only thing I'd say is, as a righty, That was a tough angle for him to get a shot off at. So maybe Chabot thought he sealed off the inner side of the plate. But yeah, you're right. You got to take him right out of the play.
And then how about to add to Chabot's embarrassment on the power play? His best hit of the night was on Connor Brown in their own zone. Like, oh man, I don't know. Like, it's preseason and Chabot hasn't had a lot of time, so I guess that's where I'll grab some positivity and say it's going to get better. But that can't happen. And he only played 23 minutes or something like that last night. So it's not like the fatigue was setting in or shouldn't have been like he's used to. So we got to see better from Thomas Chabot. Otherwise, this team is in a whole lot of trouble.
Yes. Separated at birth with Colin White, those two, born on the same day, same year and all that. But with Colin White not playing very much at all, 2 minutes and 13 seconds, it was an opportunity for Shane Pinto. We'll get into our Sens Central standouts coming up and touch on more from Sens Leafs before we have to turn our attention to Cam and Strick's podcast out of St. Louis. And they have some news, I guess not really news per se, because you know that the two sides are at an impasse when it comes to the Tkachuk negotiations, but some interesting insight from them coming right up after a word from our friends at DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part is that there's no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
TV is something everyone needs to have to get together, but also, hey, if you got a car, you got to buy gas. That's just the way it is. Unless you got a Tesla, I guess I should say. There are some people that aren't in this scenario. But for most of us, you need gas, and gas is expensive these days. So why not try to make a little money on your fill-ups? Sens fans, this is an incredible app you need to know about. It's called Get Upside. Our listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. And we got a promo code for you guys. Use promo code HOCKEY, and you'll get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. You got to buy gas. Why not get a little back in your pocket? Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back by using Get Upside. Just download the app for free. Doesn't cost you anything. Use promo code HOCKEY to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot more are making as much as $200 to $300 a month in cash back. So, hey, that's not bad. Get a couple $100 back a month. So it gets added right to your account. It's simple. It's easy. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card on Amazon and other brands. So you can send that money wherever you want. Just download the free Get Upside app today and use promo code HOCKEY to get up to 50 cents off per gallon on cashback on your first tank. That's code HOCKEY on the Get Upside app. Check it out today, guys.
All right, Pillsy, time for our Sens Central standouts in a 3-1 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, it's gross to say, but the good news is we are 9 days away from an opportunity at revenge when it actually matters. The Senators open the season at home. We'll be there, and we hope to see you at the Canadian Tire Center. In the meantime, you can stay locked on to the Senators right here Monday through Friday. We hope that we make us your first listen when you're listening to Ottawa Senators. Hopefully we can go a little smoother than that ad read. And you can also find us on YouTube if you want to see me struggle through speaking, which is really tough for what we're doing here on the show.
Yeah, that's tough.
We're also available on every audio platform. Okay, Pillsy, that bureaucracy out of the way, administrative stuff. Let's get into the Sens Central standouts, and I'm going to start with Shane Pinto. He was my low-hanging fruit for player to watch. He played the most minutes he's ever seen in an NHL game, preseason or otherwise, playing almost 21 minutes. And wow, did he ever make the most of that? What did you think of Pinto's performance, his first opportunity between Stützle and Connor Brown?
Well, if we're talking about Pinto's performance, and yeah, that's insane. I didn't really fully notice the time on ice. So good on Pinto.
Well, it makes sense, right? With Colin White injured.
Exactly. But if we're talking about Shane Pinto, the one thing we always talk about him is the face-offs. And he struggled in the face-offs. He struggled at the NHL level. Well, now that's a different story because he had one hell of a night in the dot, going 14 for 19, 74%. And if you look at the breakdown, this is what I like the most. Obviously, in the neutral zone, it is important to win faceoffs, but I would say those are less crucial. In the offensive zone, 6 for 8 for 75%. In the defensive zone, 5 for 6 for 83%. That is incredible numbers, and that's how you help your team get back in the game. Amazing job by Shane Pinto. And now, with Colin White injured and the performance he put on last game and has been putting on this whole preseason, there's not a goddamn chance this kid doesn't make the team. Like, he needs to make this team. They don't have an option at this point. So you can put it in stone. I'm not even saying permanent marker, Ross. Get your chisel out and put that in stone, etch it in stone. Second line center, Shane Pinto.
Yeah, 21 minutes and 5 seconds, 74% in the faceoff circle. But this is my favorite stat when it comes to Shane Pinto. Of his 21 minutes, he played 4.5 on the power play and over 3 minutes shorthanded. Talk about an all situations guy. He had 3 shots on goal, 3 hits, and he was a menace every time he was out on the ice. Like, this guy turns pucks over. For a guy who his speed's not his best attribute by any stretch, but this guy, he hounds pucks, and I just love the work ethic that he provides game in and game out, and his vision's elite. You saw the pass to Austin Watson last week in their game on Friday, and oh man, this is just going to be a treat to watch him and Norris grow as the top 2 centers on this team. So he got his opportunity, and he made the most of it. You said that it didn't matter where he played. He brings the players who he's put with along with him. But when you see him with those elite talents, how upset was Timmy after the game, eh? Like, did you hear him? He was not having it that was just a preseason game. So that intensity is shared with Shane Pinto, and I need to see those two play a lot more together this season.
And you will, Ross, and you will.
Better.
All right, my Sen Central standout. This has got to be one of the best box scorers I've seen. Well, apart from no goals, no assists, obviously. Usually that's good. But if we're scrolling to the right a little more, Drake Batherson, this guy was on a goddamn mission.
Steak Batherson.
4 shots on goal, 9 hits. I mean, anytime you become enemy target number 1 going up against a team, like, Wayne Simmonds is like, Drake Batherson's living rent-free in that guy's head now. He was on a mission after, like, 9 hits for Drake Batherson, and they showed the highlights of each hit. At least 3 of those hits weren't just like, okay, I got to finish my check here and get going. He's trying to run that guy through the boards. Like, he was throwing some big hits around there, and that's what Wayne Simmonds didn't like. But then, man, and Simmonds, like, come on, man. Like, Batherson just signed a massive ticket. He's going to be making, over $20 million. Like, this guy is not trying to fight you. No offense. Like, that's not the scenario we're in here. And Wayne Simmonds gives him the business, like, does the whole face wash up against the glass. And then Nick Paul does it all. I love this kid. He comes in and says, yeah, that's not about to happen. And Wayne Simmonds is chirping him, and Nick Paul says, like, if you want to fight, let's fight. Like, they pan the camera over to them, and he's like, we can settle this if you want. And Simmonds, I don't know what happened there. Apparently, he wants to fight Drake Batherson, but has no interest in fighting Nick Paul. That's an interesting scenario. So that didn't happen, but I love Nick Paul standing up for him there. And Drake Batherson, you know what? The offense, it's not always going to come. How are you going to get yourself involved in other ways? How about 9 hits to lead the team? And I'm sure I haven't checked the Leaf stats, don't really care. So I'm sure that led the game. Like, that's got to be a game high, 9 hits, no? Austin Watson had 6.
Wayne Simmonds tried his best. He had 5, and that was the best the Leafs could muster up. How about the little 2-hand he gave Drake after the play, too, while he was going to the bench? It's like, keep it between the whistles, pal. And hey, that was the best thing Del Zotto did all game. I'm pretty sure that Simmonds and Del Zotto trained together in the offseason in Toronto. And Del Zotto just went up to him right after that 2-hand and was like, hey, what are you doing, man? Yeah. So anyways, Wayne Simmonds got a little out of hand last night. That's okay. He's at the end of his career. So let him bark into the unknown. Him and Spezza, who still doesn't feel right seeing him.
Spezza had one hell of a shot. Oh my God. I think like Matt Murray just caught a piece of that one.
Yeah, well, the biggest hit Drake Batherson put, to get back to him, was on Alex Biega behind the net. He absolutely torched him. I didn't realize Biega was such a small guy, but anyways, that's a story for another day. Drake Batherson, I agree, and he was second among forwards in ice time, played almost 20 minutes, 1959, so we'll round that up for him. So 20 minutes, over 6 on the power play. And my last Central standout, and I mean, when isn't he? But I found, even though Thomas Chabot had such a bad game, I thought Artem Zub was as good of a partner for him as possible. So again, the offense wasn't there, but I just thought his D-to-Ds were solid. And that's just what you want from him. Nice, simple game. And maybe I'll give an honorable mention to Nick Holden and Matt Murray as well.
Matt Murray was going to be mine.
Yeah. So wrap it up with Matt Murray here. 923 save percentage. You like to see that.
Absolutely, yeah. And let's be honest, Matt Murray wasn't like insanely tested. I would say there wasn't like a handful of high danger scoring opportunities, but that's fine. Like, he, at all the shots coming up the wing, hard wrist shots, he's in perfect position. He's perfectly confident. It hits him. He smothers the rebound, covers it. End of story. That wasn't what we saw last season. Like last season, winger rushing up the wing and getting ready to take a shot. Matt Murray looked like he was about to face his biggest fears. Like, you could tell he looked small in the net. He wasn't confident. If it was hitting him, he wasn't getting that rebound under control. It was popping right out. So this is the Matt Murray we need to see. He had a couple decent saves on the power play. So I think what we saw from Matt Murray is what we want to continue to see. And I was happy with his game. So for me, he would be my third star, or at the very least an honorable mention.
So the Ottawa Senators are off until Thursday. They've got 2 preseason games left. Do you start Matt Murray just on Saturday in the finale?
Yeah. Maybe give Forsberg the starts for next game, but Matt Murray, give him the whole final preseason game. Yep.
All right. So it's at Montreal on Thursday and at Toronto on Saturday, before then having Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So 4 days afterwards before they get the real show on the road. Of course, the real story. You can talk about preseason all you want, but you got to get number 7 in the fold. What's the latest on Brady Tkachuk? We'll let you know right after a word from our friends at BetOnline. And if I was a betting man, I'd say that Brady Tkachuk will be in the lineup next Thursday. The only problem is I don't know how long-term the contract's going to be. We'll get to that. But BetOnline is the number 1 sports book when it comes to the Locked On Podcast Network, and for great reason as well. BetOnline can not only give you the props and wagers on all the events that you'd like, but because they're such a good partner of the Locked On Network, they're giving away a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So here's how you go about getting that bonus. Head to betonline.ag, put in your information to sign up for a free account. And then when you do that, put in the promo code Locked On. That's promo code Locked On, and 50% poof just appears in your account. So you put in 200, bingo, bango, bongo. That's $100 right there to free play on the Ottawa Senators or otherwise throughout the season. So that's betonline.ag. Get into the action. Don't sit on the sidelines, and put in the promo code Locked On to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
Guys, my last ad read was about filling up your car with gas. Well, you want to make sure your car's in working condition so you can get it to that gas station and get it from point A to point B. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to check out rockauto.com. Let me tell you about rockauto.com. Family business. So right off the bat, you love to see that. Serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. So the online shopping craze has really bursted through the roof with the pandemic. Everybody's stuck at home. It's hard to drive somewhere to get stuff. Well, Rock Auto's already been doing this, and they've perfected it. So you don't have to worry about that at all. Go to rockauto.com to shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. Not some of these other websites, they've got the stuff, but you can only pick between 5 or 6 different manufacturers. Rock Auto has it all. They have everything from engine control modules, brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet if your pets are wrecking it. So whether it's for your classic or daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks directly delivered to your door. The Rock Auto catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. That's important too. No good shopping on a website if you can't find the stuff you're looking for. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose the brands, specifications, and most importantly, the prices you prefer. Everybody's got a different price range. Best of all, the rockauto.com prices are always reliably low and the same for professionals or do-it-yourselfers. Why would you spend up to twice as much for the same parts? Don't do it. We're not going to let you. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you.
And make sure you're Locked On Senators wherever you download your podcast, and you can find our mugs on YouTube as well. Something fun we're going to do on YouTube over the next few weeks is, and if you are subscribed already, you know that we've been releasing old interviews as a weekend piece of content. We just found I've got Ridley Gregg, we've got Tyler Clevin coming up at least, and maybe a few more. But before the show was on YouTube, we had a few good interviews. I think that's safe to say. So We're going to go and repurpose those just for some extra views and to get you reacquainted with these players who we're going to be following throughout this season. So Tim Stützle, we put up our interview with him. We went 25 minutes with the young German superstar. And man, just seeing the video from that last November to what he looked like post-game yesterday, our kids are growing up so fast.
Yeah, they do grow up so fast. That's wild that was a year ago. I remember that. That was a crazy time because if you guys are new listeners, maybe you haven't heard the story, but Ross and Timmy were texting back and forth for weeks trying to nail down a time. We nailed down a time and we're like, okay, 2 p.m. on Tuesday or whatever it was. And we didn't hear back from him. So we're like, oh no, did he forget about us? Whatever. And we're like, you know what? No, he's a good kid. He's going to stick to his word. We said Tuesday, 2 p.m. He's going to be there. We haven't heard from him, but he's going to be there. So we send him the link at 2 p.m. No response, nothing. And he just pops up onto our screen. All right, here's Tim Stützle. We're ready to go. It was that was a wild experience because usually there's a little more back and forth and we're talking like minutes leading up to it. But for him just to pop up on the screen was pretty crazy, and we had a great interview with him. So definitely check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah, I felt like a teenage girl waiting
Ross
for
had
their
a little
crush.
texting crush there. Yeah.
Why isn't Timmy answering me? Well,
is it something I said?
Yeah, it worked out well, and we hope to have Timmy back soon. We're going to get back to interviews and all that coming up a little bit later. Pilsy was on the Cross Canada road trip. I'm still settling in to the new digs, and we're not going to bother these players during training camp either. But it was awesome that Alex Formanton took the time with us right before training camp. And Tyler Boucher, who just scored his first NCAA goal, albeit in exhibition. We had him on Wednesday of 2 weeks ago, I believe now, as well. Pilsy, we've also got Belleville Senators line combos at training camp today, but let's get the inevitable out of the way. The Brady Tkachuk contract negotiations continue. And Cam and Strick, the Cam Jansen and Andy Strickland out of St. Louis, a former – well, no, I guess not former, but he was an old beat writer for the Blues, and now he's got this podcast. And Cam Jansen, obviously former NHLer, used to play for the Devils when the Sens beat them to go to the Stanley Cup final. Not a big deal. That being said, they're locked in with St. Louis. They know the market. They know the people. They're friends of the Tkachuks. Brady was on their podcast this past summer, and they said that he wants a bridge deal. I guess that's not much of a surprise. What do you take of this? Should the Sens stay firm in their stance that it's long-term deal or nothing by the seemings of it? Or is this time to just bend the knee, get him into camp and on the ice?
I mean, it's coming close to that time. And you know what? It's hard here. I feel like fans at this point are so frustrated, they're starting to pick sides, right? Like some fans are being like, wow, Brady, not a team first guy. Like, why doesn't he just sign a deal? Blah, 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 blah. Or you're on the other side being like, wow, classic Sens, just not giving him the contract he wants and holding this out. Like, I see it from both sides, right? Like, if you're Brady Tkachuk, this is your first contract negotiation. This will set up your contracts for the rest of your career, right? So it's very important to get this one right. You want to start at a base of contract that you feel you deserve. Fight for that, for sure. Now, if you're the Ottawa Senators, This is your franchise player, probably should be your captain for as long as he's playing in the NHL. Brady Tkachuk should be the captain of the Ottawa Senators moving forward, in my opinion. So you got to make sure you get this deal right too. If you let this one slip away from you and you let him sign a massive deal and now your salary cap structure is all out of whack based on what you have planned for the future, then you've kind of screwed yourself. So I don't blame them for standing firm either, but we are running out of time here, and eventually someone's got to budge. I want the Sens to sign him to a long-term deal, but I realize that's not in the best interest of Brady Tkachuk. If you're Brady Tkachuk, you're probably looking to go the Matthew Tkachuk or the Elias Pettersson route, right? Bridge deal, massive number on the end so that your qualifying offer, your base is real high, and you can get your second contract, a long-term deal at a nice high AAV. So I don't blame Brady if that's an option here. But at the same time, like, eventually this game of chicken has to end, or they're just going to crash into each other, and no one benefits. The Ottawa Senators lose because they don't have their best player for home opening night with a crowd and fan base that's so excited for this season. And Brady Tkachuk loses because he's sitting on the couch watching his team battle in the Battle of Ontario when he wants to be there probably more than anyone. So this is something that needs to get resolved. It's very kind of nerve-wracking seeing and hearing the Sens haven't talked to him in 4 to 5 days, but they're at a point now where each of them has said, these are my demands, I'm not moving, and the other side says, these are my demands, I'm not moving. So with each day, the pressure, the temperature is turning up, and eventually this pot of water is going to boil over. It's already simmering right now. It's going to boil over real soon, and that's not going to be good for anyone.
Brady Tkachuk has more points against the Toronto Maple Leafs than he has against any other team in the NHL. You know he gets up for big games. Montreal, he's 1 point behind. He's got 12 points.
I figured that'd be
Montreal.
close, yeah.
13 against Toronto. So you know that he wants to be in the battle with his guys. The only thing, I'm not sold on it being, so there's got to be a part of it that's like, will this team sell? Hopefully. That's a Freudian slip. Will this team spend to be competitive for the whole time that he's here? But I think as much as it is that, it's Brady Tkachuk trying to maximize his own earnings.
I think
for
that's
his
what
career.
it is. Yep.
In 3 years, the salary cap is going to skyrocket if things work out, right? The new TV deal, huge money in going from ESPN and Turner Sports. Therefore, why not try to set yourself up to get a bigger piece of the pie? If he locks himself in, you might be looking back, kicking yourself, especially when he's going to see his brother sign for what I'm assuming is another, whatever happens with Matthew Tkachuk, I think it's fair to assume that that's what's going to be the situation 2 years later with Brady. So if Matthew signs like a 1-year qualifying offer and he's going to go right to free agency, I think that if you're Senators and their fans, you might start to worry that this is going to be a 7 and done. Like right when he can get to UFA, that's where he's going to go and go wherever he thinks he's got the best opportunity to play and live. But from all accounts, and Andy Strickland was quick to point this out, Brady loves Ottawa. He loves the organization, loves the staff, all these things. He should be the next captain, even if he is on a bridge deal. But if you're Eugene Melnyk and you're Pierre Dorion and you are standing firm saying, we're going to do long-term 7 or 8 years or nothing, then step up and pay him what he thinks he's worth for that extra time period, because you're buying up years that he doesn't care about. So make him care. Put the money where your mouth is. You can just say, oh, yeah, we want him long-term. Yeah, you said that about Mark Stone too. Like, and then he left on what? The difference of $500,000 a season. So get out of here with that. And enough of the, he didn't want to be here narrative that's happened in the past. Brady Tkachuk, you've sold this fan base as the future of the rebuild. So go get him. Like, put the number out there. Who cares if the rest of the NHL thinks an overpayment? For what he means to this organization, there's no overpayment. It cannot be overstated enough how important this contract is. And to have him here long-term, the fan base is only as engaged with the team as they are with him. I think that's fair to say, right? Like, sure, the Sens can come back and say, but we have to account for all these guys down the road. And I love how the shill of the organization, Mr. Ottawa Sun writer, he went out yesterday and been like, you have to understand, you got to save money for guys like Jake Sanderson. This guy's not even on his entry level yet. And we're saving money for a guy who's
not even signed.
who's not even signed a rookie deal yet. Like,
yeah.
At some point, you got to just pay the guys. It seems like Vegas has no problem paying multiple players over $7 million. They went out and got 2 of them in a year and a half in Pietrangelo and Stone. And Ottawa's got 1 of those guys. So let's see it, man. But until then, it's just such a moot point. Like, just get them in camp. Let's get this show on the road. But I guess I'll end this conversation off by saying, Pilsy, how close are we to the panic button?
Very close. I mean, especially, when you hear from Cam Strick podcast that they haven't spoken in 4 to 5 days when we're, 9 days away from the season opener. So I'm very close to hitting this panic button. Ross, my question to you is, who do you think budges first? Like, if something happens, is it Brady that budges or is it the Sens that budge?
It has to be the Sens because I don't think Brady Tkachuk really has to.
Yeah,
right? He holds all the leverage.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. And I mean, especially if, and fingers crossed this doesn't happen, but especially if he's not signed by the time they're playing regular season games, if the Sens go on a losing streak for a while, I think we might see Eugene Melnyk bend a little quicker than normal. Because if they start, like, let's say they lose the first 5 games, if Brady Tkachuk isn't there, oh my God, that turns the heat up big time.
Yes, it does. Then I don't even want to say this, but I guess we have to, just for completeness sake. The next deadline would be December 1st.
No, don't do it, Ross.
December 1st.
I was worried you're going to bring that up.
If he's not signed by December 1st, he is ineligible to play this entire season.
I'm going to go ahead and say that will not happen. There is no chance that happens. If that happens, then I'm buying all the panic buttons available and smashing them together. like panic buttons are hitting other panic buttons. It's not just a one-hit panic button. Like, we're blowing up the panic button if that happens. Oh my God.
We'll wait till November at least before really diving into that asinine possibility. That we'll say that is a tough.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You heard it here first.
All right,
not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Brady Tkachuk will play this season. All right. So will the Belleville Senators back in their rightful spot, CAA Arena in beautiful Belleville, Ontario. And we should give a shout out as well, talking Belleville, to Footy on the Air. Hell yeah. Love to see David Foote get an opportunity as the communications guy. I hope Footy, that means some good interviews for us on deck, because we've had Footy on the show. He's a friend of the show. We used to see him when we were down working in Belleville, but he's busy right now because B-Sens are in full swing. And the lineup, right, it's AHL training camp. So some of these names you won't even know. We're not going to waste your time with all of them. But Pontus Aberg did clear waivers. So did Cole Sherwood and Dylan Hetherington. So the veteran AHLers that were signed are all in Belleville now. Pontus Aberg playing with Cole Reinhardt on the top line. Those are the 2 wingers alongside Chartier, who I guess if he's going to be the top line center down there, at least for now, I should probably learn his first name. Yeah. That being said, this line is the only other one that we'll really get into. All the other forwards are really AHLers full time. Mark Kaslik in between Jarventi and Sokolov. That's got a little potential. Hey.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Especially Kaslik can provide some size there. Not that Sokolov and Jarventi don't have size, but size that he's going to use for strength, and he can kind of bully people around if they get in Jarventi and Sokolov's face. So that's good for sure. Just quickly before we keep going on the lines, Ross, does this mean though that at Footy on the Air will no longer be on the air?
No, I think he is.
Thank God.
I think he's still color commentator.
Nice, because when I think of Belleville Senators and I'm thinking of watching the game, I love hearing Footy on the Air. So that's great news for sure.
100%.
Back to the lines. Yeah, that's definitely a real nice line. Like Jarventi, Kaslik, and Sokolov. Like, you got size, speed, and maybe not a lot of speed. I'll
finishing ability though.
Yeah, finishing ability and skill. Like, all these guys can put the puck in the net, and I'm excited to see if that line sticks together, because with the injuries up in Ottawa, it's going to shuffle things down in Belleville, because I definitely wouldn't have had Kaslik up there with those guys originally.
Yeah, very fair. You got to think he's waiting for his sidekick, Parker Kelly, one way or another as well, if you're talking Catholic. On defense, Jacob Bernard-Docker, not on the ice today. We suspect he's still dealing with some lace bite. He had a bad case of that in Ottawa, only got to play in one preseason game. But Lassie Thompson is getting the spot at right side beside Dylan Hetherington. So I think that's a nice yin and yang there. And then Xavier Bernard as well is going to play with Max Gainette as well. So looking forward to seeing how Belleville shakes out. Their season gets underway a day after the Senators start in Ottawa. So you got the Sens home opener on the Thursday, and then Belleville opens their season in Laval on the Friday. We'll be with you every step of the way, leading right up to the game, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have some breaking news sooner rather than later in regards to Brady Tkachuk, the last remaining free agent unsigned RFA. So we'll wait for that. But for today, we say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks so much. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team